pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life feels lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds, and when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me.
Welcome everybody into Watkins Glen here on Sim Racing Media. Tonight, the drivers of the Western States Racing League take part in a 36-lap event after last week's action that saw Ashton Crowder dominate at New Hampshire, leading 113 laps. Andrew Schulte finishing second and Ryan Steele third. We move on over to the road course. These guys are definitely ready for this action. They came out in full force, almost a field of 30 trucks tonight. I'm Mike Damoni up in the booth as always. Joined with me once again is Liam. Liam, man, how is it going?
Man, I am excited. This is one of the fastest, one of the coolest road courses we get to go on. And the Finger Lakes region of New York is always excited to see some action at this very famous road course. Formula One used to race here back in the 80s. Nowadays, it's not really suited for them. It's a bit too fast, a bit too sweeping, but it's perfect for these NASCAR trucks and the NASCAR stock cars. And well, we're going to see an amazing show here tonight.
Yeah, we definitely are. These guys have been out on track. They got their practice session, and we just went to James Lehman as he was crashing there. But he is the current man to beat here with a 1:12.36 fast time as he is pairing up the track now.
Yeah, I gotta say, I didn't really see that coming. We know he's a quick driver here, but didn't see a lot of that speed from him in practice. So we come out with almost a half a second quicker than the next driver, Lyle Swearingen. That truck's got to be feeling good. Can it last all 36 laps with that speed is going to be the big question.
Yeah, we should be set for probably about one pit stop. I imagine everybody's going to try and split it roughly in half, depending on how the race shakes out. We'll see the same drivers that tend to show up here on the road courses. Christian Bishop, Chad Simpson, Lyle Swearingen, Samard, Schulta, Bentley Glazer's in the field again. I mean, these guys definitely know how to race at a road course.
Matt Sisler improves on his time. He's going to jump up into the top 10, put him up into 8th with a 1:13.32. Dennis Fuson in the 11. Tito's Handmade Vodka Chevy Silverado coming up out of what we'll call turn 7. Had a little bit of a conversation with Mike before the race got started, or before the show got started, about the corner numbering here. Because of the boot, the corner numbering is weird. So 6 and 7, that's what we're calling those last two. We're not going to go with the boot layout and call them 10 and 11.
Yeah, definitely not. There's plenty of corners on this track. These drivers slide around the final corner, get right close to that wall as they're making their way to that start-finish line. Trying to get every inch of the track, every inch of speed they can here.
Coming out off of the final corner, we'll see what Wayne Hutchison can do. Not going to be able to improve. He's about half a tenth slower that time around. Chad Stearns, the last driver on the racetrack. We'll see if he can get back around. He's only got about 30 seconds left. I'm not sure if he's going to have enough time. Trying to improve from his 9th place starting position right now.
He's halfway around, and he's got about a little over 10 seconds to complete the lap. I don't believe he's going to be able to, so his time's probably going to be stuck in there at the 1:13.38. But, I mean, a field of 29 drivers that to take part tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be a blast here, and this is one of the shorter road courses. Road America is a longer one at 4 miles. Trucks, cars, they tend to get spread out, but that's not going to happen quite as much here. It's a very fast, sweeping racetrack, and these guys are going to have a lot on their plates from start to finish.
Go down here and take a look at the field. Go ahead and bring up the grid. We've got James Lehman, Lyle Swearingen starting on the front row. Christian Bishop and Chad Simpson, row 2. Row 3, Michael Melfeld Jr. and Chris Sumard. Butch Davis and Matt Sisler make up row number 4. Row number 5, Chad Stearns and Andrew Schulta. Row 6 is Bentley Glazer and Brian Barnes.
After that, we jump over to Bob Beltrami and Ryan Steele, who make up row number 7. Charlie Widener and Wayne Hutchison, Dennis Fuson and Earl Weaver, Morris Bogan and Dan Brasington rounding out your top 20 here today. William Fletcher and Michael Bourne make up row number 11. David Weaver and Julian Ritchie in row 12. Dustin Burns, Heath Smith in row 13. Rounding out the field, Todd Miles, Scott Kukas, Barry Phil, and might have an extra here with Baxter. We'll see if he pops up in here. 29, potentially 30 trucks ready to rock and rumble in New York State.
Like everybody's getting ready to rock and roll. The top few drivers were not separated by that much as far as time goes here on track. So it's going to come down to who can minimize the mistakes here, especially when these guys initially start racing side by side. It is a road course, so full course cautions are off tonight. So make a little mistake, it could cost you quite a bit of time here going around the Glen.
Yeah, Mike, that is a very good point to make. Full course cautions non-existent here tonight, so one small mistake could spell disaster for your race. So if you're going to win this thing, you have got to be as perfect as you possibly can be from the green flag to the checkered flag. That involves going through corners, getting around lap trucks, and making that oh-so-important pit stop that we're anticipating everybody's going to probably make right around halfway. We'll see who tries the undercut, who maybe tries to stay out. See if maybe there's a 2-tire call. We've got 36 laps to try to figure it out here with these truck drivers here in New York.
And this is a short call to green here as they get that parade lap over in a hurry. James Lehman, Lyle Swearingen get ready to get going here at the Glen, and they are going to be side by side heading into turn number 1.
Very crucial to make it through these first couple of corners without a major contact. They're 3 wide just behind. But it looks like Lehman is going to be able to get through with the race lead. 26 going to follow him through. That's Christian Bishop moving up to 2nd place. Everybody gets through the first corner clean, but we have still got some side-by-side action coming up through the S's.
Yeah, side by side about halfway through the field. Looks like you got the 93 of Matt Sisler going to the inside here, and it's going to get tight here in a hurry as they head down the backstretch to the bus stop.
One of the most incredible braking zones in all of this motorsports here in NASCAR. It's a very tough one. A little contact there. That's going to put Chris Samard off and into the wall. You see one of them, Ryan Steele, missed the bus stop. He's going to have to stop in the access road there and get back going. Chris Samard goes off. Looks like he's got some significant right front damage.
Chris Samard got caught there. Looks like Michael Bourne also had an issue coming out of the bus stop. Looks like Ryan Steele also had an issue. Let's see if we can go back and take a look real quick here.
I believe Steele just kind of blew the bus stop here, decided to go straight through it.
Yeah, he about got into the back bumper there of Bob Beltrami, so he had to stop there. Take a quick look here at what happened to Chris Samard. Looks like they're side by side there. Oh.
A little bit of contact and just overcorrection.
Yeah. Well, up front, they've kind of single filed out here. We've got James Lehman, Christian Bishop kind of setting the pace here. Lyle Swearingen, Chad Simpson all working their way through.
And Lehman was really eating a lot of grass there coming through the bus stop. Going to be interesting to see how that affects his tires going way wide coming up off of the carousel. Bishop's closing in just a little bit, but he's got 3/4 of a second lead after what's going to be 2 laps completed here. As we look back, you see Bob Beltrami trying to set up a move on Charlie Widener. That's going to be for 12th, and Matt Sisler rocking a couple of positions forward from where he started.
A ton of action on track. Even though this is the road course, these guys come out in full force. Looks like
Beltrami's got a bit of a run.
Looked like Charlie Widener got a little loose.
Yeah, he was going to try to get down to the inside and defend. Now it's going to be Beltrami trying to outbrake the 95. He's going to give him plenty of space up on the outside. Going to be able to take that pass relatively easy, but then 95 going to fight back getting into the S's. Beltrami with the preferred lane and more momentum, going to be able to cut across, get through in turn number 3.
Yeah, able to get by there. Looked like they were getting pretty tight back here with Morris Bogan and Ryan Steele as well. We also have Julian Ricci and Dennis Fuson racing side by side for a little bit here.
Steele's really trying to figure out a way to get around that Morris Bogan machine in front of him. Like you said, they're side by side with the 11 Fuson. The 97 just in front of him. He's going to be able to take advantage, and Fuson falling back.
46 of Earl Weaver looking to the inside of Fuson now. Like Fuson might have made a little bit of a mistake, and he is caught up there. Looks like Scott Kukas went off track there a little bit. Looks like Chris Samard is driving a little bit angry here as he has caught the field and he is up into 20th here.
Well, he was up at the front, up in the top 5. He knows he's got a quick truck. Doesn't have a lot of damage on the front of that. Oh, as Kukas goes around, he's going to go into the pit lane. Take a look at that 97 just in front. Julian Ricci making a move. Trying to get around Ryan Steele. Going to be side by side getting into the S's. That's not always the best way to go. And now Steele's going to be able to get in front. Moving up this massive hill. One of the biggest elevation changes we see on the circuit.
Dennis Fuson goes to the inside. Chris Dumard to the outside. Dumard has another position here, and looking at Julian Ricci next in line here.
Yeah, Dumard, he's not having a good day right now. He's down 12 positions after that first lap spin. Try to pick him off one by one. He's definitely got speed to do it, but it's going to be a lot of work to try to get back to where he thinks or where he feels he deserves to be. He might not have that race-winning speed anymore.
Yeah, definitely going to see what happens and when he elects to make that pit stop. He might be one of the drivers that try to the short pit a little bit here, get that truck fixed, and try and take advantage of fresh tires while he can. Go back up to the front, though, and James Lehman is driving away. He's over a second and a half in front here of Christian Bishop. Had a little battle back behind them, though. Looks like Andrew Schulte and Chad Simpson are set to do battle a little bit. Butch Davis just behind them as well.
Yeah, Schulte, he's really pedaling that thing. He got sideways coming up off of turn 4 down towards the back straightaway. He's trying to find a way to get around that 42. A little bit of a wiggle out of Chad Simpson as they come up off of the carousel. Might be the amount of momentum that Andrew Schulte needs to peak out and make this pass. Gonna lock up the brakes a little bit. You saw that wiggle out of the back end of the 81. That's gonna cost him a couple of car lengths and take away that passing opportunity coming through turn 7.
Yeah, we saw that a couple times in practice. They get a little bit too hard on the brakes. Wants to snap that truck around. Luckily, he was able to catch it. He only lost a couple lengths instead of spinning around with the drivers coming up behind him here.
I gotta say, I'm really impressed with these drivers throughout the course of this race. We're 6 laps in, but during practice, we saw them pushing really hard. We saw them getting sideways coming up off of the first corner, off of the carousel. These guys are trying to get every ounce of speed out of these things that they can through practice, but throughout the course of the race, it's been super clean. We've had a couple of incidences. Say it right now, we've got one coming up off of the final corner with Earl Weaver. But these guys have been pretty clean to start this race off. Take a look now, it's Dustin Burns way down to the inside.
Yeah, Dustin Burns down on the inside. Dan Brazenton on the outside, able to get some momentum here. It looks like David Weaver got by Dustin Burns there as well. William Fletcher trying to get a couple spots as he's running +2. Biggest mover of the race is actually going to be Julian Ricci just in front of him, up 6 spots from where he started, currently running P18 right now.
Yeah, not an ideal day for him, but you got to feel good about being able to get around some trucks, especially at a road course where things start to separate. Now he's going to be under fire from William Fletcher. This is a battle for 18th place going into turn 6. Fletcher's going to get onto the brakes hard and try to outbrake him going through turn 6.
Yeah, down to the inside. Is going to be able to stay there. Luckily, he was able to clear Ricci. Ricci was not able to hold that line. Otherwise, Ricci might have had the better drive off coming down the front straightaway here.
Michael Milfeld Jr., he's going to be trying to make a move here. Or rather, the 05 trying to make a move on him. That's Chad Stearns. A little bit sideways coming through the bus stop for Milfeld. But it's tough to say these guys are getting sideways because they are sideways through every corner as they put the power down. A little bit wider of a run through the middle, trying to get a later apex and a better run off for Stearns. He's got a bit of a run. It's half a car length separating these two. Does he poke out? He's thinking about it. Hard on the brakes for both of them, though, and he's going to stay right in behind that 155, potentially try to set him up down the front straightaway into turn number 1. Todd Miles has gone off once again in the back of the field. Chad Stearns a little bit loose coming up off of the final corner. He's not going to be able to get that momentum he wants to make the move on Milfeld. But all of this battling going on up in front is making Matt Sisler get bigger and bigger in that 05's mirror.
Yeah, Matt Sisler's running a pretty decent race, consistent times, almost identical lap after lap, so not really costing him too much. But Bob Beltrami looks like he went around here. Let's see what's going on with Bob here in a second, but we got Melfeld Jr. and Chad Stearns still battling.
Oh, Sisler goes way wide through the bus stop. He's going to cut through the grass, and that's going to give Bentley Glazer the opportunity to get around him on the outside of the carousel. These guys working around the slow 62 of Todd Miles, who went off course a little bit earlier. Wide off of the corner is Glazer. He's got a little bit more momentum than Sisler getting into turn number 6.
Yeah, down on the inside. He's going to be on the brakes relatively quick here, trying to cut that corner. Matt Sisler crosses him over, goes to the outside, but Bentley Glazer is clear and is going to have the run coming down the front stretch.
Michael Milfeld Jr. had himself a little bit of an off. He's lost a couple of positions. Well, just the one, rather. Chad Stearns going to be able to get around him. See if Stearns can drive away, and if Bentley Glazer is going to be able to close in on the back of that Federated Auto Parts Toyota Tundra.
Now, Bentley Glazer, multiple-time champion here of the WSRL, but took a season or so off, came back last week and saw him again this week. He usually runs fairly well here at these road courses. He's already up a couple spots. See what he can do here as this race wears on, as we're getting close to that 10-lap mark. People might be deciding to adjust when they're making their pit stops, depending on how their truck is running right now.
Yeah, we're about halfway through what we anticipate is going to be a fuel run here. We expect some guys to probably come in a little bit before that lap 18 mark, a little bit after as well. Get a couple of laps of a pit window here, but right now we're taking a look at Ryan Steele, and Chris Samard is all over the back bumper of him. He's now down 9 spots from where he started. When we talked about him earlier, it was 12. So he's working his way up through the field, trying to work his way into the top 10, right now in the top 15 after he got around Bob Beltrami. Ryan Steele is his next target, and he is not letting him get away. He has drawn a bead on the back end of that Fire Emblem Chevy Silverado. He is trying to work him into a mistake. If he can't set himself up for a pass, and almost made the mistake right there himself. Chris Samard, big slide coming up off of the final corner, but he's going to be able to continue on with only about a car length lost on Ryan Steele.
That's going on. Looks like Julian Ricci went a little wide there on the penultimate corner here. Down the stretch, we're going to have a 3-wide race here into turn number 1. Dennis Poussin on the outside, Ricci on the inside. Ricci slides up in front, going to try and out-brake him going into 1.
It's a really low corner arc there, and that's going to allow the 11 to have more momentum coming up off, but it's going to work in the favor of the 97. And I tell you what, Dan Brasington in the 29, he saw what these guys were getting ready to do, backed off a little bit down the front straightaway, said, all right, I'm just going to give myself space in case you guys do something stupid.
Yeah, now he's working to the outside of Dennis Poussin, got by him as they work their way through the bus stop. Has a pretty good line.
Respectful.
Yeah, pretty good line through the bus stop, too. He's closing in on Ricci pretty quickly here.
Very respectful racing around this part of the racetrack and around this part of the pack. These guys aren't as cutthroat, trying to force each other into mistakes quite yet. You know, this 29, he's going to try to set himself up around the 97 of Ricci. And, well, it actually kind of looks like Ricci's able to, well, Ricci goes way wide there. Now here comes Brasington on the outside of the final corner, and he's going to be able to make that pass pretty clean. I say that, but he went wide, and now here comes Ricci down to the inside.
I was going to say, I thought he was going to have Ricci clear, just that little mistake.
He dives it in there.
Ooh. Ricci loose, almost around.
Tucson down to the inside. Going to be able to get around Brasington.
Up through the S's they go.
David Weaver follow him through.
Yeah.
Action all over this racetrack as we are approaching the 1/3 mark of this race. Michael Milfeld Jr. still trying to keep Bentley Glazer behind him, but Chad Stearns has been able to drive away. Chris Samard gets around Ryan Steele. These guys racing side by side, going through the last couple of corners. Samard a little bit wide there. That's going to allow Steele to get the position. And now Samard, he wants the inside.
It looked like it looked like Samard was trying to set him up to go down to the inside. Steele didn't bite, and they both Made it through the corner nice and clean as they come up through the S's.
Now, another thing about these trucks, you go up that hill, you've got these wide open S's, and now this long back straightaway. These trucks create quite a huge hole in the air, so draft is going to help these guys out a lot as they work down the longer straightaways. Right now we're taking a look at Andrew Schulte, who sits in 4th place, just about 7.5 seconds off of the race lead. He's got Chad Simpson and Butch Davis getting closer and closer in his mirror.
Andrew Schultz a couple laps ago was able to work by Chad Simpson after a little hiccup there, but Simpson is not going away. Chad Simpson is hanging right on his rear bumper, has teammate Butch Davis behind him as they're working together here. But up front, James Lehman is out to almost a 2-second lead now.
Yeah, that lead is kind of stabilized a little bit with Christian Bishop in 2nd place. It's about 2 seconds. We talked about it, maybe 8 or so laps ago, and it was a 1.5 seconds. These guys really just finding their rhythm here at this point in the race. They're, closing in on making a pit stop. Just trying to get everything out of these tires that they can before they've got to come into pit and get those fresh tires.
Yeah, we did see one driver make his way down pit lane, and that was Michael Bourne. Michael Bourne was down a couple laps anyway, so no harm for him as he came in.
Lehman just a little bit quicker this time around. Once again, now it's 2.1 seconds across the line. Lap time differential of 0.3 seconds as Samard all over the back bumper of Steele once again. He goes wide trying to get that momentum, but it's going to cost him a little bit of track distance here. He's going to dive it into turn number 6.
Side by side they go, coming out of the corner, still side by side as they enter the final corner, headed down the front stretch. Samard has a little bit of an advantage, but Steele has the line. Side by side they go to the start-finish line. Samard or Steele. Steele has the lead just a little bit, heading into 1.
Yes, the same move that Chris Samard tried the last time. This time worked a little bit better, but still is going to work in Ryan Steele's favor. Just couldn't get the line that he needed. Was stuck on the outside for the next 2 corners there. He's going to have to try to find a different spot to set up that pass because he's tried it twice now. Well, I tell you what, he's got a good run through the S's. What can he do with it? He cuts down to the inside, but gets a little bit loose, loses that momentum.
Yeah, climbs back behind Steele as they head through the bus stop. Bus stop is basically a single file position if you want to be fast through it. Coming through the carousel, we'll see if he's going to duck to the inside and try and shorten his way around the track. It looks like he's doing just that here as he's closing in on Ryan Steele.
Steele gets a little bit loose. We'll see if Samard tries to pass here once again. He's looking down to the inside. He's going to get deep on the brakes, but Steele stays deep on him as well. Not going to allow him to get the position this time. We'll see if Samard can set him up better down the front straightaway and try to take away that inside line.
Now he's trying to set him up, see if Steele was going to cut that corner like he did the last time. He did not. They stayed in line, and Steele has the advantage as they head turn 1.
And this is good stuff. These guys race a little bit wide there for Samard. He's going to get loose through the S's. Big time slide. Going to lose a ton of track time here, but able to keep it straight as Julian Ricci has had a crash.
Julian Ricci right into the end of pit road, into those barrels. Gets going the right direction, stays out on track. Like he probably has a little bit of damage there to that left front.
Talked about him earlier as one of the biggest movers of the race. He was up 6 positions at one point. Now he's only up 1 from where he started.
Guys still can't get away from each other.
Yeah, I was going to say, Milfeld catching back up to Stearns. Stearns had gotten away by almost a second. Now it's, just around half a second as they go through the S's. Big time advantage for Chad Stearns. These guys really can't get away from each other. Milfeld able to gap away from Glazer just a little bit, but Chad Stearns, as he sets his sights on Butch Davis, Michael Milfeld Jr. is not letting him get away.
Now, these guys have all pretty well stabilized where they're at. Looks like Todd Miles went off track yet again, but here we go. Chris Simard reeling in Ryan Steele once again. And if you're Simard, you got to be thinking, what do I have to do to get by this number 12 machine?
Well, he's able to get right back to the back bumper here. It didn't take him very long, which leads you to believe he's going to be quicker. Tries to get down to the inside, but just not enough room there to get there. They're trying to get him a nice run coming up off of turn number 5, but man, catching him is one thing, passing him is another, and we are seeing that here. That's Strickland Propane Chevy Silverado.
Trying to make that pass, and it's just not happening. But as this is going on the racetrack, we do have a couple guys making their way down pit lane. Christian Bishop pitting from position number 2, and Charlie Widener down there as well. So 2 drivers already making their way down pit lane here about when we thought they were going to, so we should see the rest of the drivers come in within the next lap or 2.
Yeah, trying that undercut. See how well it works. You get on those fresh tires a little bit sooner, you run faster laps and try to overtake the cars that way versus doing it on the racetrack. Passing has been a premium here. It's, oh, Simard, big time loose coming through the S's. Gonna try to keep it off of the wall, but loses a couple of car lengths once again. That truck is not handling as well as it did at the start of this race. You can blame some of that due to the damage, but I'm sure some of it's also because of the driver behind the wheel is just taking advantage of every ounce of grip that these tires are giving him.
He is definitely doing that. James Lehman, Lyle Swearingen, Chad Simpson, Chad Stearns, Bentley Glazer, all coming down pit lane. So pit road is officially busy down there right now.
Yeah, Lehman from the race lead, putting Schulte out front. Simard gets into the grass. So the 26 is able to close in on these guys. Fresh tires, he's going to be much quicker. Didn't really put up much of a fight.
Yeah, no,
Chris
Christian
Simard puts up less of a fight. Ryan Steele, he's going to try to keep him back there a little bit. Not much he can do, though, when he doesn't have the right lane through the S's.
No, Christian Bishop came down, pitted from P2. Been the second fastest truck all night here. But that is also going to allow Chris Simard maybe to get by Ryan Steele finally as he takes the preferred line through the bus stop, slides out in front of Ryan Steele. As they get out of the bus stop, he is driving away and disappearing.
Yeah, that was a power move by Chris Simard. We'll see if his connection fixes itself here in a moment. But right now, these guys might be racing side by side as Christian Bishop is now within 1.6 seconds of the race leader, or the effective race leader, James Lehman, the first driver on fresh tires.
Yeah, you can see him just up in front. So even after their pit stops, the difference is basically still almost 2 seconds. So almost identical time on pit lane. Looks like Christian Bishop maybe made up a little bit of time, but James Lehman, once he got back on track, drove away once again. Ryan Steele headed down pit lane. Bob Beltrami as well.
Yeah, I think it worked in Bishop's favor by about a second of on-track time, maybe a little bit more. But as these guys start to work and get heat back in their tires, the advantage is going back to the way of James Lehman in the 50. He's got about 2 seconds over him once again, and that gap is increasing every single corner. Blazing fast speed there for the 50.
Yeah, Butch Davis, Michael Melfeld Jr., Matt Sisler all coming down pit lane. Andrew Schulte has yet to hit pit lane. So he will see how far those tires and fuel can go here as he's working through lap number 20 here.
And one important thing to note is that he's running 1:16s right now. That's about 3 seconds slower than what James Lehman is running. 4 seconds at this point with the 1:12.66 that he just put down. Christian Bishop just behind him with a 1:13.39. Tell you what, man, that 50 truck is on rails here today.
He is definitely putting on a clinic. Almost identical lap times after lap after lap. So at 112 is probably not going to slow down too much. I believe when he hit pit lane, I want to say it was like 115 is also. I mean, 3 seconds is quite a bit, but when other drivers are driving 116 or a little over 113, even on fresh tires, that 50 just drives away.
And he's taking a very wide line there coming up off of the carousel. Thought he was going to have the run on the lapped car in front of him. Going to have to fall in behind him going through turn 6 right now and try to scoot up to the outside. This is allowing Christian Bishop to close in a considerable amount, but ooh, a little bit of a slide there coming up off of the final corner. Bishop within 2 seconds now once again.
That slowed him down quite a bit as he ran a 114 that lap, having to deal with the lap traffic. See if Christian Bishop's able to work through it a little bit quicker, and he is by Barry Field there. William Fletcher is the driver that was giving Lehman a lot of issues. Andrew Schulte still not coming down pit road as he is working through lap 21 here.
Yeah, it's possible he's tried for a bit of an overcut, you know. Start the final run with less laps to go. You're going to have fresher tires than the drivers you're racing around. So you might be able to get back around them.
Here he comes down pit lane.
Meanwhile, the gap for the race lead is, well, what will be the race lead after they get around Schulte is almost 3 seconds now after this lap.
Andrew Schulte just in his pit box as James Lehman drives on by here. Andrew Schulte might come out in P3. Oh, no. Still in his pit box. So he exits P7 after pitting 4 laps later than everybody else. 5 later than some.
Yeah, just about. See if he's going to be able to make up any of that time. He currently sits in the 5th position. Still up 5 spots from where he was at the start of the race, but he's got 3 seconds to try to chase down Chad Simpson to break even with where he was. Lyle Swearingen just about 2 more seconds up the road. And I tell you what, Butch Davis, he might have been a bit of a loser there in that pit cycle as he falls back to 6th place. He's 17 seconds off of the race lead. He was much closer with Chad Simpson before the pit stop. It's big time avoidance there around the 98. Barry Phil just trying to stay out of the way with a lot of traffic coming up behind him.
Yeah, and it's not just a lot of traffic, it's a lot of fast traffic as these guys are running within the top 10. So a lot quicker than what he wants to go through the field. And when you're talking lap times, I mean, fastest laps of 118, and these guys are running 112, 113. So try and stay out of the way, not cause anybody else issues as he works his way around his laps.
Yeah, he brought it into the pits that time, and well, now it looks like Bentley Glazer's got himself a little bit of a battle with Michael Milfelt Jr. Chad Stearns just in front of these guys. Glazer was able to get around Milfelt. I apologize, it was Stearns up in front of him. Milfelt's still a couple of seconds back.
Glazer's running +3 right now. Biggest mover of the race is Andrew Schulte, just inside that top 5.
Yeah, he's closing in pretty quick on Chad Simpson too. Glazer all over the back bumper here.
think that's
Now we'll take a look.
I want to say I think that's the closest one on track is right here. Chad Stearns and Bentley Glazer. Everybody else is about a second apart almost.
Yeah, Schulte was about a second quicker than Chad Simpson that last time around. It's less than a second is the gap right now. I think Schulte is going to be able to get around Simpson this time around.
The bus stop.
It's got about 4 lap fresher tires, and you can see it's about 4 car lengths between them, half a second maybe. Got 1 heavy braking zone, 1 medium braking zone, and well, even through that carousel corner there, you can see Schulte closing in down to 0.3 of a second. Swearingen not too far up the road either. He's got a podium in sight.
Yeah, Schulte definitely trying to get onto that podium. He had a heck of a run last week. Just ran into a buzzsaw in Goddard there, but goes to the inside. Going to try and pass Simpson in turn number 1. Braking side by side. And Schulte is going to have this run off as they head down up through the S's.
Yeah, textbook move there, just out-braking that 42 getting into the first corner. Now he can set his sights on Lyle Swearingen, who's about a second and a half up the road. See if he can get up onto that podium spot. Christian Bishop is 10 seconds up the road from Lyle Swearingen. With 10 laps to go, that's going to be a real big ask. Not impossible with these 4-lap fresher tires, as you see Barry Phil getting up out of the way once again. Not going to be impossible with these fresher tires, but it is going to be very, very difficult to get up to second place.
It definitely is as we go back through the field. Chris Sumard looking to get by Wayne Hutchinson, has closed that gap to 0.3 of a second. What he can do as they head through the bus stop.
Yeah, the pit stops were not exactly the best friend for the 77 here. He's worked his way back up into 13th place. Again, got turned around on the first lap of the race coming through the bus stop. Made a little bit of contact with the left rear of, I believe, Chad Stearns, and got himself sideways into the wall. Recovering very nicely here, hoping to get up into the top 10 here after the pit stop. But now we see Michael Milfeld all over the back bumper of Matt Sisler through the S's. It's a real tough spot to follow, the S's. Don't get a lot of air on the front of your car. And
it looks like Julian Ricci went off track, and Barry Phil is going to be hopefully through the bus stop before these guys go through. Going to be close. Barry Phil goes to the outside.
yeah, just trying to give as much space as he possibly can here. He knows he's not going to be the quickest or most competitive truck out here, but he's just, you know, running laps, logging laps, trying to learn and trying to get that program better. So excellent job by Barry Phil all day. Haven't seen him involved in a lot of controversy.
No, definitely not. And that's one thing that these guys do better than any other league. I mean, you have 29 trucks. Well, 28 took the green flag, as looks like Charlie Widener got a little loose there. But these guys, I mean, you have 28 trucks take the green flag at a road course. Usually when you see a road course on a schedule, you're expecting, 15 or so cars out there and be dominated by one. But these guys all have run really well. I mean, pretty competitive lap times throughout the field. And even right there, Chris Sumard ran a 1:13. I mean, if that wasn't for lap number 1, I bet he would be battling up there with James Lehman, Christian Bishop, and Lyle Swearingen all in that top 5 there.
And Andrew Schulte closing in on the back bumper of Lyle Swearingen. This is going to be for a podium position coming through turns 6 and 7. Not going to have a super great opportunity to outbrake him here, but he might be able to set him up for the front straightaway the same way that he did with Chad Simpson. Through the final corner, only about a truck length separating these two, but a nice run for Schulte coming up off. He might be able to get it done here as the 0-4 gets out of the way. That's Justin Burns. Little bit far back for Schulte if he's going to try the outbreak. And not going to try it this time around.
He's probably going to stay right to. Ooh, looks like Swearingen might have had a little bit of a hiccup there. Schulte goes to his outside. Side by side, they go up through the S's. Schulte on the inside as they exit. And Schultz is going to take that spot.
He's going to complete that pass. Wow, what a risky move, but he had to take it. It was so tough to find a way around that 68. Had a little bit of a hiccup off of the first corner. Schulte took that momentum, rolled with it, got the right lane, going through the second part of the S's, and comes off with a clean pass. He's up into third place, 10 seconds separating him from second place now. Like I said, I don't think it's going to be impossible, but that's going to be a very, very big ask, because Dustin Burns has had himself an off.
Dustin Burns. Let's see what happened to Morris Bogan here. If we got a little bit of time. Dennis Fuson, Morris Bogan.
Oh!
Looked like Bogan just didn't try and turn. Didn't notice what Fuson was doing to his outside.
I think he locked up the brakes, and that kind of pointed his car to the left, which is not the way you want your car to point in a right-hand turn. Made contact there with Fuson, and unfortunately both drivers with a little bit of damage there in the spin for Bogan.
Justin Michaels said he got home too late to run tonight. Well, his teammate definitely did not. He's up 7 spots running P3 and has been one of the fastest trucks all night. The only one that's probably been quicker is the leader here, James Lehman. Lehman just driving away with this race. I mean, pretty much almost nobody on the same straightaway. I mean, almost a 4-second lead now for Lehman as he comes through the final corner here. He'll get the 7 laps to go once we go by the start-finish line.
Yeah, just 7 laps to go in a dominating effort here by that 50 team. Still got 3.5 seconds over Christian Bishop. It has been tough to slow down that 50 crew.
Yeah, the only time that his lap times have been, barely slow is when he was working around some lap traffic. And right now, I don't see anybody in front of him for quite a while. So clear view in front of him, clear view behind him.
I would say he's quite cruising at this point, but he's got a lot to be comfortable with. Obviously, we've got a long way to go, and anything can happen in these races, but James Lehman, he won a couple of weeks ago at Auto Club. Looking to keep this hot streak going. Max velocity Chevy Silverado comes up out of turn number 7. It's going to have 6 laps to go. Just about 15 miles to bring it home. About equal lap times that time with Christian Bishop. It was maybe a couple hundredths quicker. Those guys are running virtually equal lap times. Andrew Schulte, just a couple of tenths quicker. I don't think he's going to have any chance of getting up to second place, but he did fight hard to get back up to the podium. One of the other big stories of the race, Chris Samard, been trying to work his way back up into the top 10. He's currently sitting in 13th. He's got about 10 seconds to go before he gets to the next driver.
That's all. Everybody making their way through the bus stop. I think the closest battle is going to be this one here between Davis and Simpson.
And I believe these guys are closing in on Swearingen. Butch Davis came in 2 laps after both Simpson and Davis, or Swearingen rather. So he's got the better tires. He could be closing in, but I think at this point in the run, a lot of those tires may have equalized out. Oh, big slide there from Davis.
I think just a little bit of mistakes, like not even major mistakes, just a little bit, are costing some of these guys from being up there on the front. I think that's one thing that Lehman has done very well. He's pretty much minimized all his mistakes.
Yeah, that's how these things go. I mean, these road course races with no full course cautions, you really can't afford a mistake. You can't afford to speed on pit road. Can't afford to have an off or a crash, because you're not going to have that caution to kind of reset things, to give you that opportunity to punch up the field once again. If you have it off and you lose 5 seconds, that's 5 seconds you're not getting back throughout the course of the entire race. So you really have to try to keep it on the island and minimize these mistakes. That's what we've seen Lehman do an amazing job of here tonight. I don't think we've seen him go off once. I mean, dealing with lapped cars, he's been able to stay patient, find convenient opportunities to get around them. Maybe just a touch loose there entering turn number 1, but 4 laps to go. He's looking pretty good.
Yeah, I think sometimes I wonder if that's better or worse. Out basically by yourself, and you could almost, I mean, at least it's a road course, not like an oval where you could almost fall asleep. But this is, I mean, to me, this is like James Lehman just out for a Sunday drive here, hitting his marks, just kind of rolling through the corners. And if he's not paying attention, one braking a little bit too late on one or getting back to the gas a little too soon, and it could be a completely different race.
Dustin Burns just in front of Lehman here. Christian Bishop 3 3/4 second back. Second place, Andrew Schulte is about 12 3/4 second back. In third. Things getting kind of spread out here at the end of Watkins Glen. A lot of guys just trying to make it home.
Got a little bit of action back here. Earl Weaver and David Weaver battling.
John Deere Green and York Peppermint Patty is going at it down the back straightaway. Here comes that John Deere Green. Big time move down the inside. He's going to go way wide in the second half of the bus stop, though. Cuts through the grass, and that's going to cost him some time. Now Fuson tries to get down to the inside. That's going to be for 20th place. The 11 truck not having the day that he's wanted, but getting these passes here at the end is going to help him feel a little bit better.
Yeah, Fuson's been running fairly well, 1:15 fastest lap time, so probably one of his personal bests here. Is he's about mid-pack. Go back up front, though, and nobody around Lehman. Bishop's maintaining that 4-second gap. But Andrew Schulte's cut into the gap to Christian Bishop. It's only 8.5 seconds.
Yeah, no, nothing too big there. Nothing that's not attainable. Looks like Bentley Glazer is getting close to a battle here. He tries to work towards the back bumper of Chad Stearns. Coming up off of the final corner as these guys come to 2 laps to go. Only a couple more chances to make these passes. I can think of 3 major braking zones, with turn 1 going into the bus stop and then turn 6 where you could potentially try to make a pass. However, we saw how hard that was with Chris Simard and Brian Steele to make that pass into turn 6, especially it being stuck on the outside through 7 and turn number 1.
Brian Steele trying to close in on Wayne Hutchinson here. Brian Steele's able to get by Hutchinson. He'll wind up finishing the race exactly where he started. But with that, James Lehman has taken the white flag. Final lap here at Watkins Glen.
Yeah, just over 2 more miles here in the Finger Lakes region of New York. James Lehman has been virtually flawless all day. Started from the pole, decided to pit on lap number 17. just before halfway, and well, he hasn't really looked back. Missed a couple of laps led through the middle course of this race with the pit stops, and Andrew Schultes staying out until 21. But from there on out, he's been able to extend his gap, extend the lead, and run a flawless race.
Down through the carousel, headed to the penultimate corner here. No one around. One more corner as he makes his way through. Gonna go. Oh, I thought he was gonna try and go sideways across the line as James Lehman wins at Watkins Glen. Win number 2 for James Lehman here.
Yeah, he's done it again in dominating fashion here at Watkins Glen. Yeah, I was with you. I thought he was going to try to go sideways across the line and start his burnout early, but he's just taking a little cool down lap here and enjoying the fact that he doesn't have to drive his guts out anymore, which is what he was doing all race. Christian Bishop comes home second. Andrew Schulte fought back for a podium spot, up 7 positions from where he started. Also our biggest mover of the day. Lyle Swearingen and Chad Simpson rounding out your top 5. Butch Davis, Chad Stearns, Bentley Glazer, Matt Sisler, and Michael Milfeld Jr. got up to the 10th position. See some love there between Schulte and Lehman. I mean, just a fantastic drive out of the 50. I mean, he almost looked like Max Verstappen out there. There's just no beating him.
He definitely made the right call, which I kind of had a feeling that whoever got the pole was going to be tough to beat. I don't know if it's one of those races or what happens here, but it always seems that if you get a little bit of a lead, your line becomes a little bit easier. Pressure's a little bit, off just a little bit. So, I mean, they were still, battling for quite a while here as they worked their way through, I believe, 15 or so laps while they were together.
Well, let's see what the 50 decides to do here after the cool down lap. Does he decide to burn it down? Oh, he burns it down and smacks the wall. And then Schulte smacks into him for good measure.
You know how that goes.
Oh, yeah. It's all love.
All right, let's see if we can get Andrew Schulte up here in the booth for you, Liam. There you go.
Andrew, it's Liam and Mike up at the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, I tell you what, man, you had a phenomenal race here. You started 10th and worked your way up to a podium position, led some laps there with your tire strategy. Walk us through the day and what was it like racing out there? It seemed like these trucks were really struggling for grip all day.
Yeah, they didn't have much rear grip all day long, trying to put the power down, and like 8 to 10, 12 laps into a run, all front drive just disappeared. So it was not wasn't the easiest thing to drive, but we did the best with what we had, and best with what we had was a P3 tonight.
How difficult was it to go 20 laps in on that run? How much fuel did you have left, and what were those tires like?
Tires were pissed off. The front tires had absolutely zero grip at that point. I just had overheated them real bad. And if you missed the groove by a little bit, you were just hanging on with the wheel turned, and it was like driving in snow. I had a couple more laps of fuel, but I was watching my lap time, and it was, if I had if I was able to hold a steady lap time there with the old tires, I would have stayed out until the tank was empty. But my lap time just kept dropping with how much the tires kept wearing. So probably stayed out too long, maybe. I feel like I might have had a better effort if I had pitted right when Lyle did, and seen if we could get around him early on in that run. But still was able to do that, and I don't know if we had anything for Christian and Lehman. Lehman is obviously class of the field, quickest all night, so congrats to him. But yeah, P3s I think we would have wound up regardless.
Well, rock on, man. You put on a great show. Is there anybody you want to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Yeah, congrats to Lehman. Shout out to my Bandit Motorsports teammates, Scott Patton with Patented Paints for the paint job, Bob for always giving us a great place to race on Tuesdays and Thursdays, Sim Racing Media for broadcasting. Hope you guys enjoyed calling this race as much fun as it was to drive it. Hope all the viewers out there enjoyed, and shout out to my wife and kids as always.
Awesome stuff, Andrew. Congratulations on the podium, and we'll talk to you again next time.
Thank you, sir.
Christian up here in the booth. Hey, Christian, Mike up in the booth, man. How's it going?
Good. How are you guys?
Oh, not too bad. Well, heck of a run there. You wound up finishing one place better than you qualified. How was it racing out there tonight? Looked like it was, said earlier, a little bit loose, a little bit hard to drive.
Yeah, with the trucks on any road course, it's basically a manage your rear tires or else you will die game. I was really hoping that James's tires would fall off more at the end, but they didn't. Unfortunately, he was pretty good at managing those. So, yeah, it was a little slick, but that's what makes these things so fun.
Yeah, it definitely seems like you tend to show up at the top of the field every time we head to a road course. How are you feeling with racing here at Western States and the rest of the season?
It's been pretty good. I finally managed to get an oval win for once, which was nice at Pocono. So check that one off the list. And I don't know that there's any more road races coming up, which is usually where I make my big points. But just got to run consistent and hopefully keep finishing top 5, top 10, and be there at the end of the season.
Definitely, man. Well, congrats on your P2. Anybody want to thank before we get you out of here tonight?
Yeah, I'll shout out my mom and wife who are watching my kids so that I can do this.
Definitely, Matt. Well, congrats once again, and maybe we'll talk to you later in the season.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Liam, want to talk to James? We'll get him up here in the booth for you.
Absolutely. The man of the hour, James Lehman. It's Liam and Mike up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, I do.
Well, I tell you what, man, this might have come a little bit easier to you than Auto Club did, but you put on a phenomenal show here today, virtually mistake-free. Did you have those special match tires from Days of Thunder, or how'd you get it done?
Honestly, it felt like it. I'll be honest, but no, I was just being easy on them. I've learned from past races, if you try to just go to balls of the wall right off the bat, you just burn your stuff up faster. So I just took it easy, and it kind of played in my favor.
Well, you didn't have to deal with much traffic. You dealt with some lap traffic, but what was it like racing your way back up through the field when you're dealing with everybody on old tires after you made your pit stop?
It wasn't too bad. Everybody here at WSRL is pretty respectful. But it was a challenge, especially when you're coming up on some people trying to go 3 wide through a bus stop, which made no sense to me. But you just got to work with it and be slow and be patient. And almost, Christian almost had a chance there because of that 3 wide incident. But hey, it would have been good racing for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you put on a clinic here in terms of, what good driving is here at Watkins Glen. I don't think you had a single off. Did you have any X's or incident points at all, even?
No, no, I literally that was my first time ever racing Watkins Glen and never have an incident. So for a fact.
Well, congratulations, man. You put on a show, you put on a clinic, and you were blazing fast. Is there anybody you want to give a shout out to for such a strong run?
I just thanks to everybody that came out tonight from WSRL, and I'm looking forward to next week. And thank you guys for broadcasting.
Awesome stuff, James. Congratulations on your second win of the season. I'm sure we'll be talking to you in Victory Lane again soon.
Oh, for sure.
All right. Head in. Bring up the race results here. James Lehman with the victory. Christian Bishop and Andrew Schulte round out that top 3. Lyle Swearingen, Chad Simpson, the top 5. You have Butch Davis, Chad Stearns, Bentley Glazer, Matt Sisler, and Michael Melfeld Jr. rounding out the top 10.
After that, we've got Charlie Widener, Brian Barnes, Chris Samard works his way back up to 13th. Ryan Steele and Wayne Hutchison round out your top 15. Bob Beltrami in the Beltrami Salami Machine goes in 16th, with William Fletcher, Dan Brazington, Dennis Fuson, and Earl Weaver rounding out your top 20. David Weaver, Michael Bourne, Dustin Burns, Morris Bogan, Barry Phil, Julian Ritchie, Todd Miles, and Scott Kukas round out the field here today in Watkins Glen.
Definitely. They will head south next week on October 1st down to Atlanta. So they'll get a little super speedway-ish action going on. We'll see who can come out on top there. But that was a heck of a road course race for these guys driving these trucks.
Yeah, I mean, there was action all over the racetrack, and even at the end of the race, when things started to get a bit spread out, there were still battles happening, people racing for positions and racing hard for them. James Lehman, he was obviously the class of the field all race. It was really tough to, get within a second or two of him all race, and he just kind of drove away with it. But, Andrew Schulte working his way up from 10th all the way up to 3rd, especially with his late pit stop, having the fresher tires at the end. There's a lot of storylines that made this race super exciting, and that's one of the reasons why this is one of the best road courses in all of America.
Yeah, it definitely is. But with that being said, head and wrap it up here tonight. Thank you, Liam, for joining me as always. But from all the drivers of the Western States Racing League and all of us here at Sim Racing Media, we want to wish you guys a good night, and we will see you next time.